Sometimes the biggest warning signs aren't in other people, they're in us. There's a strange blind spot we all have when it comes to our own behavior. We notice patterns in friends. We see red flags in partners. But when it's our thoughts, our habits, our reactions, everything suddenly feels justified. We explain it away. We soften it. We call it just how I am. And that's exactly why personal red flags are so hard to catch. So today, let's flip the mirror around. Here are 6 subtle red flags you might not realize you're carrying, and why they matter. If content like this helps you understand yourself or the people you care about, consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video. Let's start with the first. 1. Constantly tearing yourself down. Pay attention to the way you talk to yourself when no one else is listening. Is your inner voice supportive? Or is it critical, sarcastic, and harsh? Unhelpful self-talk doesn't always sound dramatic. Sometimes it hides inside jokes you make at your own expense. Or quiet thoughts like, I'm not good enough anyway. Over time, this kind of internal dialogue chips away at motivation, confidence, and emotional resilience. It trains your brain to expect failure, even when none is guaranteed. Changing this doesn't mean forcing positivity. It means noticing when your thoughts are working against you instead of for you. 2. Needing approval to feel okay? Do your moods rise and fall based on how others respond to you? If praise feels like oxygen and criticism feels unbearable, that's worth paying attention to. A strong dependence on validation often shows up as people-pleasing, saying yes when you want to say no, avoiding conflict at all costs, staying in relationships that drain you just to avoid being disliked. The problem isn't caring what people think. The problem is letting their reactions decide your self-worth. When approval becomes a requirement instead of a bonus, it quietly controls your choices. 3. Feeling responsible for fixing everyone. If you're always stepping in to rescue, manage, or solve other people's problems, even when you're exhausted, that's not just kindness. It can be a sign of control disguised as care. This often comes from discomfort with uncertainty or helplessness. Fixing others creates a sense of safety, structure, purpose, but it can also lead to resentment, burnout, and unbalanced relationships, where you carry more than your share. Helping is healthy. Taking responsibility for everyone else's emotions is not. 4. Holding yourself to impossible standards. High standards aren't the issue. Punishing yourself for being human is. Toxic perfectionism convinces you that mistakes equal failure, that rest equals laziness, that progress only counts if it's flawless. The result? Chronic stress, avoidance, and the constant feeling of falling short, no matter how much you achieve. Growth requires flexibility. Perfectionism removes it. 5. Pulling away when things get close. Some people don't fear relationships. They fear dependence. If intimacy makes you uncomfortable, you might withdraw when emotional closeness increases. You may shut down, disappear, or sabotage connections before they deepen. This isn't coldness, it's protection. Avoidant patterns often develop when vulnerability once felt unsafe, but in adulthood, they quietly block trust, support, and emotional security. Distance can feel safe, but it can also feel lonely. 6. Escaping into constant scrolling. Social media isn't automatically harmful, but overuse can be. If scrolling replaces sleep, real conversations, or emotional processing, it stops being entertainment and starts becoming avoidance. Excessive use has been linked to lower self-esteem, increased anxiety, and emotional numbness. Not because social media is evil, but because it keeps the mind constantly stimulated and never at rest. Sometimes what we call relaxing is really just distracting ourselves from discomfort. So, did any of these feel uncomfortably familiar? If yes, you're not broken, you're human. Most people recognize at least one of these patterns in themselves. What matters isn't perfection, it's awareness. Change doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually, through noticing, through honesty, through small intentional steps.